Hey, I'm here checking out the Nikon Z5II, the latest entry-level camera from Nikon. I'm going to take it here on a photo safari in New York's High Line. This is the new Nikon Z5II, a mid-entry level full-frame Z-series mirrorless body that costs $16.99. It's an upgrade over the original Z5, which was more of an entry-level camera. This I'm going to call a baby Z6III. It's got the upgraded image sensor, faster performance, faster autofocus, smarter autofocus. We're going to go into all of that in our first looks here. It will be available to pre-order on April 3rd with shipping to sometime this spring. The Z5II uses a 24 megapixel sensor, the same resolution as the predecessor, but it's now a BSI CMOS style sensor, so it is better in low light. It has a maximum sensitivity native range of ISO 64000 for stills and 51200 for video. It's got NRAW internal as well for video, recording to an SD card, which is a first for any camera that I've seen. Usually you have to have a fancier, more expensive memory card for any sort of RAW video. It also records 10-bit H.265 if you just don't want to have to worry about the larger file sizes and editing workflow that comes with RAW video. For stills, 24 megapixel stills in JPEG, HEIF, or RAW format, 14-bit RAW format, NEF. The Z5II is also a much faster camera than the Z5, which topped out at something like 5 or 6 frames per second. This one can go up to 30 frames per second in JPEG. It's got the pre-release capture mode, so you can capture a little bit of the action after it happens with the buffering there, and it can go up to 14 frames per second with mechanical shutter in RAW format if you prefer. Of course, it's not just about speed. Your camera has to be fast and accurate. The autofocus now is powered by the XP7 processor, so it gets 3D tracking and subject recognition modes for people, pets, animals and wildlife, cars, trains, anything you kind of want to shoot that's moving quickly or maybe erratically through the frame. You've got a subject recognition mode here that will find the eyes when appropriate and keep the subject in focus as it moves through the frame. The Z5II is also better built than most entry-level cameras. It includes dust and splash protection, which you won't find in the competition, dual memory card slots, a really nice, bright, large electronic viewfinder that's really sharp to the eye as well, good for both automatic and manual focus. It's got lots of Nikon's color modes built in, the picture style modes here. It's got a dedicated button for it, so you can switch between deep tone monochrome, vivid, denim, and some of the other fun pop art filters that are built into the camera if you want to get a creative look without having to go through raw processing. So who's the Nikon Z5II for? Well, it's definitely a mid-entry body, so if you're someone who is a photo enthusiast who may be using an older Nikon SLR and wants to be able to use your existing lenses using the FTZ2 adapter, it's a very good way to go if you're upgrading from a D7000, D780, D750, something like that. This is a similar level camera to those with a full frame sensor, much like the D750 and the D780. If you don't have a camera system already, the Nikon lens system is full featured. It's got things for entry-level photographers all the way up to high-end pros, and this body, despite being on the lower end of the full frame spectrum, is capable of taking one of those crazy $14,000 lenses. If you really wanted to put it on there, it probably wouldn't be your first choice, but it's certainly an option if you are an aspirational photographer who's looking to get nicer gear down the line as well. So I've been shooting with the camera now for just a couple hours here on the High Line doing our little photo safari, and I'm pretty impressed so far. The thing I'm noticing most about this versus the original Z5 is speed. This camera is just so much faster. The better processor and autofocus, it just snaps right to focus with this 28 to 75 millimeter f2.8 lens that I'm using today, and finds the subject with the subject detection reliably. I was taking portraits of folks out on the High Line, and it was finding their eyes even at a long distance without a problem, and had no problem with architecture and macros as well. I think some content creators are also going to be interested in this camera. It's got very good video specs, and the YouTube crowd will appreciate the ability to work mobile with a stabilized sensor. You can use, forgo a gimbal in many cases, and it supports microphone and headphone as well for audio accessories. This has been our first impressions with the Nikon Z5II. It's available for order today, shipping later this spring. Make sure you check out PCMag for a full review later on. And for all of your tech needs, check out PCMag.com and our YouTube channel. Like and subscribe.